Hello and welcome to this lecture, and in this lecture we will learn something about routing. So as you could see in the previous lecture, we basically have routed this URL to this function right here. Now let's learn how we could actually route a different URL to a different function. So what we are going to do here is that we are going to keep this function as it is, so we are not going to change this thing at all. And let's create a new function and let's create a new route for that particular function. So let's say you want to display something else apart from hello world, but rather than displaying it on the home page, let's say you want to create a new page and let's say you want to name it new. So whenever the user types in the URL/new, he should be actually displayed some text which is called as new. So to do that, the first thing which you need to do is that you actually need to stop this server. So this server is currently running, so what you need to do is that you actually need to go to the terminal, and if you press Ctrl+C, the server is automatically going to stop. Sometimes it may take a while, but it will stop. Okay, so the server is stopped right now. So let's get back to the code and let's type in the code for a new page. So you could type in @app.route. so this code is the same, but we are going to make the changes in the URL. So we type /new. So when this is the case, like when this thing is a URL, you want to define a function which says new. So let's type def new, and let's say this function returns something like let's say new page. So what this is going to do now is that whenever the user types in a URL which is /new, it is actually going to go to this function, and instead of having this function executed, it is going to execute this function, which in turn will return new page. So we will be able to see new page text on the web page. So now let's go ahead, save the code, and let's run the server again. So again, let's type in python app.py. So the app actually gets up and running on this address. So let me again open up my web browser, and let me just type in my address as 127.0.0:5000. So as soon as I type that thing, as you could see, I have hello world over here. And what if I actually go ahead, give a slash and type in new? So when I hit enter, as you could see, this time we get the result as new page, because what we have done here is that we have associated a URL new with this function new, which basically returns this text right here. So this thing is actually called as the URL routing, which basically allows you to bind a particular URL to a particular function. So this is also called as routing, or it can be also called as URL binding. So whenever you actually want to bind a particular function with a particular URL, you can do that by using URL routing. And remember, route is actually the function which you will use to bind a particular URL with a particular function. So that's how you do it, and this was a quick and short lecture to show you guys how this thing actually works. And if you want, you could go ahead and experiment with it. Like, you could also create a new URL, like the third URL. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's type in @app.route, and let's create one more URL, and let's say that URL is going to be demo. And you could define a new function called as demo. So you type def demo, and here what you could do is that you could simply return something like this is the demo. Save the code, and what you need to do is that you actually need to restart the server once again once you make the changes to the code. So make sure that you return back to the terminal, hit Ctrl+C. That is actually going to stop your server. So once your server is stopped, you could again run the app, again go back to the web browser, refresh this thing, and you could simply type in /new. So this thing pops up, and when you type in /demo, as you could see, this is the demo. So there is a typo here, but that thing doesn't matter. What matters is that we have learned this thing which is called as routing, which will help us to link a particular function with a particular URL. So these functions are very extremely short functions because we have taken them as an example. So we will eventually go ahead and write more complex functions to perform more complex tasks on a particular web page. So that was all about routing, or you could also call it as URL binding. So this is how it is done by using the route function. So in the upcoming lectures, what we will learn is how to use variables in Flask, which will allow you to create some sort of dynamic URLs. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.